Hello, my name's Julian Mellor and welcome to our very First Tea Directors Club podcast. I'm here with my fiancée, Jo Cameron, and today we're going to talk about mindfulness.
We are indeed.
Jo is kind of an expert in leadership and understanding mindfulness, and I have to say, I thought it was a bit woo-woo when I first heard it. I thought you've got to be out there, you've got to be floating with the clouds, and I don't think I could have been more wrong, Jo. So would you mind doing me a favour and the listeners a favour and explain to us a little bit about mindfulness? What is it in your opinion?
That's interesting that you said that about being woo-woo, and it's not, as you quite rightly say. But basically, mindfulness can be summed up as just paying attention, like being present, so being in the moment. Now, I know in the moment can sound a bit woo-woo, but it's basically being here and being present and aware, absolutely right, yeah.
Aware. Well, I've just been listening to some fantastic podcasts by Dr. Carl Morris, and he has some incredible guests on there, and I've been kind of hooked by some of them, and some of the experts that he's had on there have really made me think very differently about mindfulness and actually being, as you said, in the moment. But what is that? What is being in the moment? And I got to experience it myself the other day on the practice ground. I was hitting shots and just enjoying being in the moment, almost asking myself to hit a specific type of shot, and I was able to pull it off, but also figuring out how I'd done it. And that's just really been mindful of in my world, of the actions that I was taking to achieve the shots. But it's not what people think it is, I don't think.
Why do you think people think it is woo-woo then?
I think it goes along with meditation, with, you can almost say yoga sometimes. People think you're out there, or spiritualist thinking, that type of thing. But it's just really been aware of what you're doing.
Do you know a really interesting fact about Gary Player? Now, if you listen to this podcast, you'll know a bit about Gary Player, and you do as well.
Yeah.
And I was very inspired one day when I read his book, and he has been a meditator for absolutely donkey's years, and he attributes that to being a key part of his success.
And what would you say meditation does, Jo?
Well, meditation really, in layman's terms, gives your brain a rest.
Yeah.
So, generations have gone by, they're like, I'm just having 5 minutes, or if I'm just having a breather. But it depends on what level of meditation or mindfulness that you want to go to. So the physical act of meditating stimulates something called the vagus nerve, which is obviously a nerve inside your body, which basically is in charge of a lot of your bodily functions. So if you have a quick Google about it, it basically goes all the way through your body. But by the very physical nature of meditating, you're stretching your vagus nerve, which is sort of in the middle of your body.
Did you have to lie down, Jo, to do this?
Well, you can do it anywhere. You can do,
Where have you meditated?
Just thinking about when I got caught by the parking attendant in a car park once, because I think
so you sat in your car doing it?
Yeah, I sat in my car doing it. I think I sat on a bus doing it. Oh my goodness me! I've just remembered that I got caught doing it in a park with our daughter one day. There was just a bench, and I'd have been particularly busy time, so I just lay on this bench and just did a few deep breaths. I can put my headphones in, and off I go to a different planet. It's just relaxing, basically.
And where would you say you meditate the best? Would it be lying down, standing up, or just somewhere quiet?
I think you've got to choose whatever works for you. It's like when you first started learning mindfulness or meditation, it takes a bit of time. It takes a bit of time to train your brain to just be mindful of the thoughts. A lot of people start it and then stop because they think their brain's got to be completely, empty, or you've not got to think about anything. It's not really about that. It's about just being aware of things.
So how would this benefit a golfer? Secondly, how would it benefit somebody in business?
Well, I think, do you know what was really, really profound the other day? So our First Tea Directors Club is about, networking at director level. It's about your personal and professional development as well. And it's also about learning golf. Because as we know, golf and business have gone together really well over years and years and years and decades. So what we've done is put this thing together. So when we ran our last session, I thought it'd be really a good time now to start talking about mindfulness in business as well and how that relates to your golf. And to be honest, I was a bit nervous about it because the directors that we've got in our club are very outspoken, aren't they? They're very pragmatic, they're very practical. And so they're not going to be, they're not just going to accept what we say as read. So what we've got to do is get them into experimentation mode. So when I put out the topic, mindfulness, I was a bit nervous. I thought, how's it going to be seen? Because people think it's a bit woo-woo. But we actually saw it play out in practice, didn't we? So we just started to talk about the 6 principles of mindfulness. And the one that I choose to look at was about reactions. So you know the Tiger Woods story about his dad used to get him to putt under pressure, didn't he?
Well, and distract him.
Yeah, exactly.
And that would what you would probably call keeping him in the moment.
So his dad kept trying to put him off, didn't he? And distract him. Because he obviously didn't want to lose like a major tournament being put off by a twig or a bird or something else in the crowd. So I thought, well, we can link the two together, didn't we? So we just talked about mindfulness and what it might mean and you know, getting distracted. Because a mindful person will be less likely to get distracted quickly.
So this is going to help on a golf course then?
Absolutely, of course it is, absolutely. So we discussed that a little bit in the room, didn't we? And everybody had a different perspective on it. They thought it was either useful or not useful. That's fine as well. Everybody's got their own opinion. They're directors at the end of the day, aren't they?
And what activity did we do, Jo?
Wow, this is where it all started to really, the magic happened, didn't it? Because we went out and we did like Tiger Woods, a 5-ball putting activity and tried to put people off. Yeah. So we did that and...
Very well?
Yeah, people were really distracted to start with.
Annoyed?
I'd cough or shout. Not so much annoyed because they know it's me and we've got a good relationship, but yeah, distracted.
Yeah.
So then while you were getting them to do some chipping practice, which we could hear them all cheering.
Yeah.
We couldn't have planned it better if we'd have tried, could we, the distraction? But then I took them back inside and I got them to do some breathing activities for a very, very short period of time. But every single person, when they tried the put-in activity again, was more relaxed.
They
were less likely to... I don't know whether their results actually improved, really. It was more about the enjoyment of it, less pressure, less stress. And bearing in mind, this is only one simple experiment.
Less frustration?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Because one of the biggest issues on a golf course is when a golfer gets frustrated.
Absolutely, yeah. And then you imagine you've got that time between one shot on the next to be mindful again.
To be mindful, but most golfers carry that frustration onto the next shot and then the next and then the next. That builds up the tension, which in our world is the number one enemy of the golf swing. So tension's horrendous. It stops you moving well as a human being. I think it stops you thinking well. And it's to be avoided. And I suppose finding a way to stop doing that and stop reacting badly. I think there's probably many ways, but certainly meditation and premeditation, dare we say it?
Yeah, that's a great example about how you can be more mindful. It's like planning, where your difficult shots might going to be.
Yeah.
And the breath, you think about it, from a golf swing, when you're tight, everything does tighten up. So you breathe in shallows. I know you've when you first learnt about the breath, you spent the night before, didn't you? You were playing in a...
I did it the night before. I did it over breakfast. I did it walking to the first tee. I did it while I was waiting for players to hit their first shot. And I used to be quite nervous when I hit my first tee shot. And I have to say, from that moment on, I've never really stood on the first tee nervous. It made such an impact on me.
It made such a difference. Yeah, because if you think about it, right, when you're tense, like if you're at work or if you're catastrophising about a golf shot, you're not breathing you're not breathing correctly. And if you're in a stressful job as well, if you think about it, if you're not using your lungs correctly, they are going to get tighter and tighter and tighter. Yeah. So effectively, your normal breathing is not very effective anyway. Yeah. So by meditating and things like yoga, it helps just improve the muscles in your lungs as well, the capacity that you've got to be able to take more breath.
What physically, Joe, what should your stomach look like if you're taking a deep breath?
Well, if you're taking a deep breath, you're taking it right down low. There's three.
And what physical shape will it take?
Well, there's three different almost chambers in your lungs that you can breathe from. Most people breathe. That's me tapping
from
up
your
here.
chest.
Yeah. So on a golf course, before you get on the golf course, as you said, you've just got to be mindful of your breathing, and you can practice by laying on a floor maybe.
Well, what should your stomach do?
Well, you can put something on your stomach,
And will it lift or will it go in?
Yeah, it will lift, So you've got to try and put something on your stomach and lift, because then your stomach will lift, which will show that you use.
So you're taking in a lot of breath.
Yeah.
What a lot of people I found do when they take a deep breath, they actually suck their stomach in.
Yes.
It's that kind of breath through their throat, but actually that's not really deep breathing.
No. And this is where you can experiment with the breath out. Like in our activities, sometimes we get people to pretend, make a shape like holding a balloon and blowing it. That's me blowing into a potential, in a pretend balloon. But you can actually test where your breath's coming from if you pretend to blow into a balloon. So you've just got to exercise your muscles, and what meditation does is give your brain a rest. If you think you've been working, as we all do now, and the phones never stop, the messages never stop, everything's pinging all the time, and if you think about that's happening all the time, your brain just never gets a rest. So we often talk about physical rest. Meditation and mindfulness is simply about giving your brain a rest, giving your brain a rest.
And I guess it's difficult to visualise what we may be talking about here about taking a breath, but there's so much information out there. On YouTube, there must be some incredible videos just showing you how to breathe properly. Well worth investigating.
Or even mindfulness. There's so many things on YouTube. If you stick into Google, mindfulness, there's things like the mindful golfer, there's a Zen golfer, isn't there, out there? There's plenty of resources for you to just check out mindfulness, because as you say, why it's become so popular now is that there's science now to prove that your brain function does change, so it makes you more focused. It obviously makes you more relaxed. But the piece of research that I liked was from Australia, where they put this guy on a few weeks mindfulness program, and after the 8 weeks, what they found was that his processing speed was a lot quicker.
Right, so it's going to benefit not only your golf, it's going to benefit business.
Yeah, so you can do more in less time.
Right.
And I certainly would recognise...
So it's making you more efficient.
Yeah, absolutely, of course it is. And I think absolutely, since I've been a regular practitioner of mindfulness and meditation, it certainly does make you able to deal with the ups and downs.
How long does it take to do this, Jo?
Well, you can make it's like 5 minutes, anything you can, just make a start.
So you can literally do this in 5 minutes?
Just make a start.
So you can't. There's no real excuse then for saying I haven't got time.
No, but you know what? That is the most common reason. I was just thinking about that this morning for some strange reason. I don't know why. Yeah. But I had some executives on one of my programs once, and she was a very high-powered executive in the motor industry. And I said to her, about the benefits of mindfulness and meditation. The first thing that came into her head was like, oh, that's going to be something on my list. It's something else that I've got to do, and I haven't got time. Yeah. Come on.
So that's the time the kettle takes to boil.
5 minutes. Or even 2 minutes, just start. Just make a start. You can do it as you're going to sleep. You can do it in the middle of the night. It's not an extra thing that you have on your list.
Are there any kind of, say, apps or something like that you could perhaps download or get on your phone?
There's so many to choose from now. You've just got to experiment with them.
So just look online, look on the App Store, look at YouTube, somewhere like that, and just... You probably don't even need to download them, just keep listening to them.
But what we proved was, with our little experiment, only a small experiment with a handful of people, that their putting was so much more relaxed. They were less likely to get distracted when they're trying to put 5 balls. They were just less rushed. Yeah. And I think the main benefit of, being in the First Tee Directors Club, it just gives people time out to think. And they all went away thinking, do you know what? That was really, really, really beneficial. And we've got one lady, haven't we, who's a CEO of a lots of schools and academies, what we call academies in the UK. And she said, well, I've got such a benefit from that. I want to go and now introduce it into the schools. that
would be awesome.
She has a half a day out. Yeah. And on a putting green, we demonstrate how meditation and mindfulness can help benefit not only the golf, but the person as an individual. And then maybe
Wouldn't that be incredible to do in an assembly?
I know, it'd be amazing,
All
wouldn't
the
it?
children to do a meditation while in assembly, first 5 minutes.
Well, in some schools they do.
I think that's awesome.
They absolutely do. Yeah, that's what they do. So, and maybe that'll be a thing of the future, in the West, when we appreciate that the next generation, for them it's even more full on, isn't it, with the with social media and stuff. But
definitely.
So today we've just been discussing, haven't we, mindfulness and how it applies to work, but your golf as well. So just have a quick Google. I think really.
And I think one of the you mentioned it, and Tiger Woods just this weekend has finished second. He's actually risen from, I think he was 1,199th in the world ranking, and now he's gone up to 134th in the last couple of weeks, which is incredible. But his mum used to help him with meditation.
That's right.
And I think that's definitely shown through his career, and his concentration was, I think, was second to none when he was absolutely in his prime. But one thing I noticed about Tiger Woods, when he was leading on the final day, he was always the last person to leave the tee. He walked slowly. He was just that little bit slower than everybody else. And you could see them, they're all excited and they've hit the tee shots and they're running off the first tee. And he was almost the opposite to that. Because
that'd be adrenaline probably, wouldn't it? If you've hit a great shot off first tee, you're eager to get moving.
Yeah, and then you get the peaks and troughs. So some of these, again, listening to these podcasts that Carl's been doing, is almost about being in state. But what they recommend is that you stay on a level state. The highs and the lows are no good for you. The more you remain calm, the better your golf is generally going to be. And I know we get pumped up when we hit a good shot, but it's almost as bad doing the opposite.
Yeah.
If you're getting really down on yourself because of the chemicals your brain and your body are releasing, which are massively going to affect performance.
What was that quote that you found the other day about education in your body? I absolutely love that. Remember?
Yeah, I do remember it. I'll let me think about it and it'll come back to me. I think it was education of your body's words. Something along those lines. I can't quite remember the exact words.
It was like awareness is your body's language. Awareness is your body's language. Yeah.
Awareness.
It's not words. It's awareness that's your body's language.
That's it. Yeah, and that is.
Which is mindfulness, basically. We're saying being aware of your emotions, being aware how they're affecting your golf, and that's what you always talk about in the easiest swing, don't you?
Yeah, totally. I've got a little niggle in my shoulder, and it's only a knot. It's nothing, but I know that that's going to affect movement. But now my job, if I was playing tomorrow, how do I get around that if I can't get this fixed tomorrow? Rather than just accepting it, I've got to play now, I'm going to play rubbish. Well, not necessarily. It might actually really help you. But you've got to be in that open-minded awareness state where you figure out whether it helps you or not. Yeah, I like I said before, I just thought it was all a bit woo-woo to me. Unfortunately, I was brought up where it was always about hitting thousands of golf balls to improve your golf. Didn't know anything about physical fitness, didn't know anything about mindfulness, didn't know anything about the brain really, how that affected it. It was just purely going at loads of golf balls. Didn't even know about food. And this was kind of late 80s, very early 90s when I was into it. But if I could chat to myself again 20 years ago, I'd be talking about this stuff.
Yeah.
I think the
You'd be saying, just calm down, relax, breathe.
And I think what's made it so much easier for people now is access to information. I wasn't a great reader, never really liked reading, but I love YouTube.
Yeah.
I love getting on there and learning stuff, listening to stuff, podcasts. Absolutely. So there isn't really an excuse for just chucking something out the window and go, that's a load of rubbish.
I mean, really what we're saying here about mindfulness is check it out. See what works for you. Yeah. You know, the science that says it works for a lot of people. It takes a bit of time to learn. So we're just putting it out there really as a question today, aren't we?
It's only like learning a new method.
Yeah, I know.
Or adding some methodology to what you're already doing. But if it's reducing your score by a shot around, I think it's well worth
experimenting. Or just making you enjoy it a bit more, isn't it?
Enjoy it. Enjoy life.
Yeah. Enjoy life.
And business.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
So, Joe, just tell us very quickly about First Tee Directors Club. We've just launched this It's incredible the people who are on it, but just tell us a bit what's involved.
I suppose when you say we've launched it, we've got a new name, a new brand, because we've been running it now for 18 months, and I've got experience over the last several years of running business clubs successfully. And then when you and I really started to gather speed with the golf and the leadership stuff, we said, well, let's just set up a directors club for people that like their golf, where they can come and learn to play golf and learn about leadership at the same time and network at that level. So we ran it for 18 months, didn't we? Took, really, not as an experiment, just to iron out the little any niggles and stuff like that. Well, everybody signed up for the second year, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then I think when you've done it for 18 months, you think, right, okay, where are we at? What does it stand for? And hence that's the name now, the First Tee Directors Club. So it's about director level networking, it's about professional development, and it's about improving your golf. And as we know, it's not just about your golf or your professional development, because the two link together anyway. So we just, we get people out on the golf course in the fresh air to really think about with golf and the leadership concepts and how they can learn.
So they're going to learn to improve their golf.
Yeah.
And they're going to learn leadership, and I think they're going to get an opportunity to network with some great people.
Yeah.
And how do they find out about this, Jo?
Well, they can go onto our site, which is Redmane, REDMANE, and or they can put into their web browser first. It's the number one, First Tee Directors Club. .com. So we're just tinkering with the search engine stuff at the moment.
And
but if they Google you, Julian Mellor, it's on your site anyway.
We
so
can find it on there.
So if you Google golf networking Warwickshire at the moment, they'll find us. So Google golf networking in Warwickshire, because that's where we're based. They'll find it on your site, my site, and all over the place really. And social media, LinkedIn.
What's your education background in terms of leadership training?
Well, I've got an MA, I've taught on MBA programmes, at universities. I got a distinction for my MA at leadership. So I've taught on lots of university programmes. I think the thing that I'm very passionate about, like you, at Easier Swinging Golf, is that management and leadership is overcomplicated.
Yeah.
We haven't got acres of time to be sat in a classroom. What we do in the First Tee Directors Club is a bit of theory and context, which we've just talked about now. But we're about practitioners. We're about what people take away. So... it's just fascinating topic, really, human behaviour and how organisation works.
I've been listening to these podcasts, and one thing that's overwhelming from all the experts is keep it as simple as possible.
Yeah, keep it simple. Yeah.
And I think the more you can do that, the more benefits you're going to claim from it. Yeah,
which is exactly like the Easiest Swinging Golf 6 principles, which we live and breathe in our house.
We do indeed. Jo, it's been brilliant today having a chat to you. We're gonna do some more of these. I think in the future we're probably going to get some guest speakers in as well. That'll be really nice. Some very interesting people there. We'll link it from golf to leadership and to business, and try and keep it real and honest. And I think this could be the start of many of these. So thank you, Jo.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for having me on.
Brilliant. Look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, and you. Take care. Thank you.